Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me for this discussion at this forum. Some amazing presentations in the morning, and continuing the theme of technology. I'm here to talk about the transportation piece. And about 3-4 years ago, I joined the US Department of Transportation more for my background in technology, product development, and vehicles. But my folks are amazing. They allowed me to work on one of my passion areas, which is disability, technology, and transportation. In my presentation today, I hope to bring some of that. Because of the limitations we have with the time, we may not be able to get into some of the details that this would warrant. But maybe during the Q&A, we could take some of those on. So I just have this chart not to give you what the demographics look like, but to just present the picture that if you include people with disabilities, seniors, and veterans with disabilities, this becomes a bigger pie than we think of. And this is a major area of work that could just benefit a lot. And it's also amazing the numbers, the dollar amounts that the government is spending on disability care, the veterans benefit, and such and so on. What I also want to emphasize here that because of the nature of the needs of these three different users, the cross-cutting technologies that you are to look for transportation, they tend to work for all of these different users. And we hope that some of the technologies that we are looking into, that we want to, we hope that we will be able to work with groups like this and bring to the fore, or something simple as a garage door opener. People don't realize that that was designed for a quadriplegic way back when. It is such universal use has just allowed us to forget the innovation, and we hope that some of the technologies we are looking into will be something like that. So the impact of transportation on this user group, a quick chart just to elaborate the point that not only technology impacts the daily activities, but it has a bigger bearing on jobs, education and training, healthcare, recreation, housing, and aging in place. And some of the points there, twice as many people with disabilities say it is important to their daily living needs. 76% say it is important to their job search. About 29% consider it to be a significant problem in accessing jobs. And we are in an amazing age. In the morning, we heard of all the amazing things you could do with technology. And the smartphones, the big data, the data that we talked about, and the cloud computing, together, these are some of the things we did not have access to a few years ago. But there are still ways that this could be harnessed in a way to help the community that needs transportation, the accessible transportation piece. And we heard a lot about data, but one of the studies that we had done was to see how much data you could capture just looking at the pavement. For about a meter of data capture on a pavement, I remember it was somewhere along like 1 gigabytes alone, just for a meter. So within the US Department of Transportation, when I got on board about 3 years ago, I had this sense that things really don't move fast enough. But in the last 3 years or so that I have worked on, I'm happy to report there are some amazing things that are going on within the accessible transportation that hopefully someday will transform the way this is looked at. I got three major points here. One, you or most of you have heard of something called intelligent transportation systems. This is a big research piece out of the US Department of Transportation. The first one is called the connected vehicles research. The connected vehicle research. This has to do with connecting vehicles to talk to other vehicles And the vehicles talk to the infrastructure such as a roadside equipment on this side, which is listening to these wireless devices. And this is someday going to talk to the traffic signals or the lights that we have. They will all be talking to each other wirelessly. And what makes this interesting is there is something called vehicles to pedestrians. And that is something that is going to connect pedestrians to this whole big infrastructure. The FCC has given a 5.9 gigahertz spectrum for transportation safety use, but we are also looking into bringing other wireless technologies such as the 3Gs, the 4Gs, the Wi-Fi's, and the Bluetooth into this mix. The other bullet talks about the automated vehicle research. This is not yet a program, but this is something that has really garnered new attention in the recent past. And this is something I believe is going to be a huge benefit for travelers with disabilities or when we talk about accessible transportation. Depending on how much time I have, I will get into some of that later. And the other research and applications, the first one is the exploratory research, advanced research. This is an area where you take a new concept which is radical enough, but that has a lot of dividend and benefit if it were to be successful. And I'm happy to report that I scoped a new idea in about last year and a half to look at both indoor and outdoor navigation using artificial intelligence, computer machine learning, yeah, brain reinforced learning. So it is a look at synergies, different convergence of technologies that you could have to help navigation both indoors and outdoors. This project is a new project. We have two projects which are already in progress. I am leading one of the projects, and there are other people who are helping me in this research. We also have a small business innovative research, and then there is this ITS JPO, which is the Intelligent Transportation System, Joint Program Office, Dynamic Mobility Application. It is a big piece where it is not so much concentrated on accessible transportation, but improving mobility, moving more people on our freeways and highways. But among that, there is one application or bundle, as we call it, that is looking into travelers with disabilities or accessible transportation. And as I mentioned, there is the synergistic approaches, the new ways of bringing different sets of technologies together to solve transportation-related issues in a new way. So I had briefly mentioned about this, but what I want to show you here on the SBIR initiative, there was something that we worked on, which was the smart alert system. And you have a picture of the prototype on the side. It is a crosswalk, which if you have a smartphone, you could ask for more time to cross an intersection. And this is a smart phone that is linked to the cabinet on this side, which then talks to the traffic signal to identify that you now have a pedestrian who needs more time because of whatever the condition is. We are also looking to see to make it so smart in terms of developing the standards that someday it would know that you have a mobility impaired versus a vision impaired or a hearing impaired and be able to accommodate their needs. I also briefly mentioned about the dynamic mobility application. The MMITSS is a big acronym, but what it stands for is multimodal intelligent transportation signal system. Among that, there are different kinds of applications, but one specifically looks at the mobile accessible pedestrian signal. I just have this slide just to, we talked about cost and benefit, and Metro Access is an amazing thing. You know, I use it here. It is a paratransit service. But what is interesting is I was able to look at this after 2011 fact book, and that says that there were like 190 million paratransit trips alone that were taken in 2010. And what I'm trying to say here is if you were to bring these synergies, these technologies, and help to convert these paratransit trips into fixed routes, and I just put like 25% transition, you're looking at 1.5 billion savings. The question could be like, who is going to pay for all this development cost? Is it really a benefit or not? And it depends on how you look at this. If you were to look at the user's needs, the requirements, and try and bring this and integrate these requirements in the beginning, the cost is not going to be as high. And as far as I love Metro Access, it is not perfect, and I hope someday the new solutions that we are looking at will be able to bring a solution which is going to be more user-friendly, helpful. Just to give you an example, last week I had a family emergency, and I used paratransit to get to work, and it was something that I needed to go back to my home to take care of that. So I really didn't know what to do. In the last few attempts that I had, Metro Access was not very willing to give you a ride when you need one. But I called them. I said, I really need some help. So the operator said, let me go talk to my supervisor. She came back and she said, okay, we could give you a ride back home. I was happy. So she said, the earliest we could pick you up is at 9:20. I'm like, okay, that is still good. The ride did not come until 10:40. And even when they came, they had 2 other pickups or drop-offs before they could drop me home. So there was a total disconnect from the operator who took the information to whoever did the dispatch. And I was home almost about noontime, and just frustrated with that. So I think the new technologies could really be able to help solve some of these issues. So what do we mean? I mean, in terms of travelers with disabilities, we're trying to look at these 4 major categories. I mean, there's 13 different disabilities that is defined by special education eligibility criteria, but we are looking at mobility, hearing, vision, and intellectual disabilities. And really the problem we are trying to solve, and then the opportunities that come with that. And what I want to just elaborate on is the last picture, which is about the intellectual disabilities piece. The problem could be I wonder if XYZ is on the bus. I don't know if he boarded the bus. You could have a caregiver, family member worried about that. And then the new technologies, the connectivity that comes with this whole wireless, these energies that we are looking into. Someday we are hopeful that you will be able to have enough information to real time give you this information where the person is. So the way forward, in our view, is the first thing is to look at the user needs. And the user needs not about one type of disabilities, but look at all the 3, 4 major kinds. In my research that I discussed in the beginning on the exploratory advanced research, we are looking at the vision impaired, because that seemed to take the most type of technologies to find a solution. But the hope is that you could then take a subset of that and apply it to other kinds of disabilities. And in terms of the mobilities, Lisa, please don't ask me about those curb cuts and the issues at the end. But how do we handle the sidewalks, the vehicles, the bus and rail? What kind of data I need, really to tell you, don't go that path, and communities, how do we connect work, school, traveler, leisure, and the whole approach of connectedness, inclusive, universal interfaces. I was on this White House challenge about a year and a half ago, where we worked on looking at what technology can do to travelers with disabilities. And what we found was you have an application that works in Chicago. You have another application that works in San Diego. But if you are the user, you have totally two different sets of interfaces experiences. The data sets are different. The whole approach, could be all integrated together. So you have the same experience whether you are in Chicago or San Diego. The we realize that this whole standards piece, the accessibility data standards, is going to be a big piece of this puzzle. Not only do I need to know what kind of a bus this is, does it have an elevator that is working, to knowing how many spaces are there that are wheelchair accessible in the bus, how many of those are taken, can I really ride on this bus, do I need to look for another bus? Two, like if you are at a metro station and one of the escalators, I'm sorry, one of the elevators is not working, or one of the exit door is locked, and if you are a vision impaired pedestrian, you have taken all the pain to go to that door to find out that that door doesn't work that day. And then the data capture and management, luckily within the programs that the US DOT is working on, we are also working on a big piece which is looking into data capture and management. This is the data that our transit buses, our vehicles, our pedestrians, cell phones, and others are sending. And how do you capture it and make it available in a way that it makes sense? What kind of a metadata I need to have attached to those data sets, that when researchers or private entities are looking at that to use it for their applications, they have a meaningful set of data. And then the whole harmonization piece, how do you integrate this data standards with others? How do we make this all work together? So in a way that it addresses some of the issues of accessible transportation, the needs of travelers with disabilities. And systems and applications, again, the big piece is going to be the integration of all these user needs. But what I feel is that someday if you could resolve the issues of the first mile or the last mile, meaning how do I go from my home to the bus stop, and if I take a fixed route, and get off to that location, and how do I get off from the terminal to where I need to go to work or whatever. So the origin, destination, and planning, can I have one system which will tell me, like, in this community, you could do the first mile using this, the next several miles using A, B, C, and when you get off, here are your options. And if I'm traveling to Chicago, I need to know, like, if the hotel I want to stay in is accessible, does it have a bedroom or a bathroom that I need? Can I have all of that, planning baked into the scenarios here? So I think I got 2 minutes here, but I'm just going to put everything together and talk about this real quickly. So the thing that the technology can someday do is to bring all these requirements together of the 4 kinds of major disabilities and help you to plan and execute trips considering your origin, destination, what are your needs, and help you plan. It will someday be able to resolve the first mile, last mile, and the personal mobility vehicles. I hope we could maybe address this during the Q&A, but the vision is that with all the autonomous self-driving vehicles that we hear about and talk about, it has the real potential to look into what this community needs and be able to solve that. And then lastly, I had built a scenario. This was mostly something that we had worked on with the White House initiative. There was a small proof of concept that was done as an output of that effort that really looked into this. I mean, if you have a vision impaired person, what really it takes for you to do all that you need to do to get to the station, to your hotel, to your meeting, if you are in a new environment. And my vision, finally, I want to conclude with, this is just a bike share in Washington, D.C. But my hope is someday you will have segways or kinds of those vehicles with all these smarts on them that I could have in my house and be able to take that across from my neighborhood and go to the bus stop, leave it there, take the bus, go to wherever I need to go. Then I will have another bike share of kind that I could hop on. And we have discussed a great deal in the morning about wheelchairs and their accessibility. It'd be nice to have a wheelchair that is encompassing all these requirements, so you don't have to worry about getting from point A to point B. And with that, I think I did well, right?
Yeah, you
Thank
saw
you
me
so much.
giving you the eye, I think. So thanks a lot, Mohammed. I appreciate it. We're going to hold questions till the end. So John, we'd love to hear from you.